Morning, Warriors. Warrior Man here. Getting ready to get started in my studio, and I wanted to do that video that I promised. I got a lot I want to say, so I just want to jump right in. And the first thing I want to say is, the position I find myself in right now is really interesting to me. It's not one that I really sought out, and it's not one that I imagined 20 years ago that I'd be in today. I mean, somebody had showed me a crystal ball and they pointed to it and said, Warrior, 20 years from now, you're going to be the only adult in the room. I probably would have rejected the idea. And I wouldn't have rejected the idea because I wasn't an adult at the time, and I didn't think that in the future I was still going to be an adult. Of course, a much different one, and maybe a better one, maybe not. I'll leave that to other people to decide. But I just thought that all the guys I was in the room with at the time, everybody that I worked with, all the guys that were a part of my life, whether I liked them or disliked them, admired them or didn't admire them, I just figured that down the road we would all be adults in the room. And I just don't see that going on. And let me explain what I mean. What I mean is that we'd be better grown-ups. That would be more capable men. That we'd be more mature, that we'd be wiser about the ways of life, that we wouldn't be making the same silly, stupid, and immature decisions and choices and remarks and comments. And Terry's not the only one that's doing it. If you've been coming around for a while to my website, my blog, you know that this has been of interest to me for a long, long time. Growing up and acting like a grown-up and stepping up to the next level of responsibility and maturity in your life. That's important for men to do. So I think that's the most important thing I want to come out of what I have to say here today on this video. Until last week, it never crossed my mind that I wanted to spend the time or make the effort to say what I'm going to say here today. And the main reason is, although I knew Terry had really messed up his life and was continuing to mess it up in a really bad way, I have been delightfully, that's a great word to use. I've been delightfully caught up in the beauty and wonder of my own life, and I built that life up without having to depend on paying attention to wrestling, without having to involve myself in wrestling, without paying attention to what's going on in the lives of the talent, and especially what's going on in the messed up life of Terry Bollea. I mean, I really just didn't care. I didn't give a rat's ass how far down the hole his life was going, or what it meant to other people, his behavior in the last few years. But then Randy died. He had his accident and he passed away, and I read some things, I saw some things, I heard some things. I did a lot of thinking, like I talked about in the tribute video that I did for him. And I realized that I couldn't keep my mouth shut any longer about some things that I've been seeing, that I needed to speak up. I just couldn't stay silent. And if not so much for me, because I've made my life work outside the sick and selfish world that Terry Bollea still operates in, but I needed to speak out for all the other voices that can't be heard like mine. The millions of fans from around the world that enjoyed the WWF at the time and were fans of all the characters. And that's really one part of the problem that Terry has. He never had room in his heart or mind to believe that people were fans of the other characters, other than Hulk Hogan. So I wanted to say something for all these people that can't be heard. I mean, the truth is, I've been blessed to really learn some great things about life because I had my success in sports entertainment. It has nothing to do with having money and being able to buy stuff. My experiences there caused me to want to pay greater attention, deeper attention to what was going on in my life and what I was all about. I would not have been able to learn those things if it wasn't for the people who got behind me in my sports entertainment career. So I'm proud to lend my voice to these people who also have thoughts and feelings and ideas right now about things that are going on or that they've seen for a few years, and most especially in the last couple of weeks. Terry, the biggest mistake that you've made all these years that you've worked to mischaracterize me and paint this picture of me being a horrible human being. The biggest mistake that you made was that you worked yourself into believing that I was not even there at that time and place where our lives crossed paths. I mean, when you talk about Warrior, Ultimate Warrior, you talk about me like my presence and participation never even existed. It's incredible how you and others do. It's like you think if you don't mention it or you belittle it in a really violent way, that history will be changed, that the memory of it will just disappear forever. And that's just ridiculous. I know you. And you know I know you. You know that I know the real you. You know that I know that when you think about the wrestling world, in your mind, there was only room for Terry Bollea and nobody else. You know that I know what kind of malicious and backstabbing operator you are. And you know that when I have something to say about you, it is not a guess. Others know it too. They know that I don't bullshit. They know that I never have. On the other hand, you have a long-running reputation for being a liar and a fraud and a phony. I do own a piece of your psyche. And if I do, then all the Ultimate Warrior fans do too. And the proof of that is your actions over the years. I mean, all the mocking and ridiculing and the beating up on and the devaluing of Ultimate Warrior's time in the business, that it was worthless, it was just a flash in the pan. All that you do, all the years I've been away from the business to make it even less valuable. And you guys still, every chance you get, you reference something, Warrior, Ultimate something, to tease the wrestling audience or pique their curiosity. And it goes all the way back to Renegade, which you denied for years until a book publisher walked in the room and started throwing a few $100s around for people to do tell-all books, and the truth came out then. The Triton character that you tried to get away with, I sent the cease and desist, where you showed the shadowy imagery on the inside of the arena walls. The guy coincidentally happened to be the guy who played me in Steve Sting's movie. I remember talking to Bischoff in 1998 when I was going to come in, and he's all excited one day, jumping up and down on the phone like a kid with ants in his pants. And he's saying, yeah, Terry's out shooting a movie right now. It's titled The Ultimate Something. And he's got hair just like yours.